Hey guys, EBPMAN here. Now in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at an electric bike that is going to be ultra compact and portable that literally will fit in the trunk of your car because it folds. We're talking about the Engine 2 Pro. And this is a bike that is packed with features and it has a fantastic ride. So let's talk about the specs. Now, this is going to be an electric bike that's going to fit a lot of different body types, all the way from 5'4" in height to 6'6". And it's going to have a max capacity of 300 pounds, which means it's going to give you some flexibility when it comes to carrying things with you. So it could be almost like a utility bike for groceries and other goods. Now, it packs power. We're talking about a 750 watt brushless motor. And the cool thing about this is that it has fantastic speed, well over 25 miles an hour, almost 28 miles an hour, with this 62-mile range. 62 miles. Now keep in mind, the 62-mile range is with pedal assist. And you've heard me talk about this before. If you're from Chicago, that's from Chicago to Gurney Mills. That's from Chicago to Great America. That's from Chicago to, almost up to Lake Geneva, right? Pedaling on a bike with electric power. That's going to get you a long way. Now, the cool thing about this bike is that it also has cruise control. Which means that it acts very much like a scooter. Once you hold the throttle at a certain level, it's going to lock into that speed or that power rating, and you can just sit back and cruise. Now, this does have a on-screen display that is going to give you a lot of information, time, speed, and also your pedal assist mode, which is going to be anywhere from 0 to 5. That's going to be great, and it's very legible even in daylight. Now, this is a cadence sensing bike that as you pedal, it's going to give you that extra push to be able to go super fast. Now, the nice thing about this bike, having been testing this now for several weeks, is that it basically doesn't give you leaps into speed, but it's a gradual assisted mode. So the nice thing about this is that it's not a scary bike at all. So you're pedaling and then you just feel that you're going faster and faster and faster, but your feet don't flip away from you, which is something that I really like. Now, obviously, if you run out of power, this thing is human powered as well. And because of that, you're looking at some really cool features that are going to help you enjoy this ride, given the hydraulic fork solution, as well as the fact that this is IPX5. Now, because you have that human power piece, you're looking at an 8-speed, again, bike, right? So that's going to be 8 speeds that you can choose from either a high gear that's going to give you some really fast capabilities or a hard gear, depending on how you look at it. You'll be able to choose that as well. Now, the bike also has 20-inch, 4-inch fat tires, which these are the type of tires I love. These are my preferred tires on bikes. They're going to do well in all terrain, snow, grass, sand, and they're puncture resistant. Now, this bike when folded, it's not super light. It's around 85 pounds, but it's still very manageable. So in this video, we're going to take a look at a ride. We're going to take a look at the bike close up. And you're going to see why I'm so excited about this product. This year for us, it's been the year of electric bikes. And hey, you know what's going on with all the needs for electric and being able to move around. And I'll tell you, this, I would say, the line of electric vehicles in, I would say, the personal space like bikes has matured so much that we're actually seeing that this year. So let's go ahead and take a closer look, and you'll see why you'll love this bike as well. All right, so now the very first thing we're going to take a look at, and this is what I love starting with, is the tires. And you can see that we've been putting this bike through its paces. So it has a little mud scarring going on as we were riding for the last couple of days. The tires themselves, you're looking at 20-inch tires. They're Fat Boy tires, so they're 4 inches wide. Great ride, great traction. And then also you have a nice mud guard system here. So I've been testing this going through some slushy stuff going on here in Chicago because we've had some rain going on. And you can see how it's done a really nice job of really keeping the mud away from the upper areas. You do have a marker right here that gives you the ability to, this is your brake light, but then you also then have your gear system found here. Now you have a 7-speed Shimano system, and again, really love the treatment of the color of the chain when it comes to the black. You have the company's URL here, as well as some additional branding and just communication here that the bike is powered. You also have some really nice pedals. And one of the things about the pedals here is that this bike is foldable. And not only is the bike foldable, but so are the pedals. So I'm going to show you that in a second. Now the folded pedals, this is really cool. All you do is push this in like this, and the pedals fold up. So again, if you put this in a car or you have this with you in the train, sometimes if this hits you, I would say ankles, shin, this hurts. So having it folded like this is a definite plus.
Now this bike has a real nice support rack in the back. There's optional accessories that you can pick up. It's going to support a total of 300 pounds. So if you think about you as a rider and then some additional weight, you're going to be able to have some nice cargo. You can put a basket down here, or also they have a real nice bag that has expansion and is waterproof. Now the saddle, I found it to be comfortable. It doesn't have any kind of shock to it, so there's no support here in the back. There is a version of this bike that does come with a suspension system, so it's dual suspension. This one only has the front fork suspension, but the other version does have a shock that gives you some additional support. Having said that, having ridden this bike, I've had no problem with the support. So this is soft, it's comfortable to ride, gives you great support, and then everything is adjustable, which I like. So if you're switching, let's say someone else is riding the bike, or you switch the bike off to someone else, you need no tools. All you have to do is pull this open and you're able to raise or lower the seat. Now folding the bike is really simple, and you're gonna see this in a couple seconds. All you do is you flip this up and then you open this out, and then the bike will fold in half. You also have the steering column that will fold. It literally cuts this bike in half. Now, the cables on this bike, while it is tucked away, the front, you're going to notice that the cables are rather long. And I would have expected, or I would have hoped that it would have been shorter, but as you're folding the bike, you need that extra, I would say, slack, so that you can actually do the folding. So I can see why they did that. But then you'll see you'll have access to the battery too. On the bottom, you can see I have the keys on, and because in order to run this bike as an e-bike, you do need the keys in and the ignition turned on in order for the functions to work. So you cannot operate it in electric mode without that, and the actual display won't work. Now you can use it as a normal bike, but not as an electric one. Now on the front, you can see that we have an adjustable suspension system. So it has real nice shock. In riding it, I've been riding fast, bumpy terrain, and even in Chicago where we have speed bumps, this thing handles it like a champ, especially because of the type of, I would say, the 20-inch wheels with the 4-inch wide fat tires gives you a real nice ride. Now the pounds on this, I think it was 20. So small, but you're gonna fill it up to 20 and you should be fine. And then you also notice that, again, you have front mudguard as well, and you have a front-facing LED light. As you can see here, this is what I was talking about, the cable management. So it does have great cable management, meaning that everything is tied together, but you notice how it has that extra slack. And this is the extra slack needed in order to be able to support the folding mechanism. Now the steering is, you have a great steering column here as also handlebar. What you'll notice here on the side, and we'll pan over to the side just a little bit, you'll see that you have some nice palm rests right here. You do have your power on and controls here, so I'll just go ahead and power up things. You'll notice that here you have the LCD display. You have your, again, up, down, or plus or minus. This is going to give you the ability to kind of shift things when it comes to the speed controls. So this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 5 in the pedal assist mode. You also then have the ability to, I would say, there's some other controls here, some programmatical controls where you can do memory settings. You can also control some of the aspects of the bike if you go into kind of like some of the configuration settings. You can also then turn on the actual light itself using these buttons as well. Now to turn on the light, all you have to do is press this button right here, and then you can see the light turns on, and it's pretty bright, so you can see how it's lighting up. So on a path, if you're at night, this is going to light up the path, and someone's going to see you without a problem. Now, one thing I'll highlight about the steering, so the handlebar is narrow, so you don't have a lot of space for any kind of additional accessories. Now, I've been able to mount my smartphone to this, but it's really tight. So if you do put a smartphone mount, you want to have something that raises the smartphone up, and probably on this side. Now, you do have a bell here, and it's one of these bells where you do it just like this. It's not a digital bell or electronic bell. You have the bell there. You have your, again, your brake system on each side. It's very responsive. Here's your gear shifting, and again, it's a 7-speed gear shifting, so you can change that really nicely there. And then everything you have here on this display is incredibly legible. Now, from a storage perspective, you can't really ask for more. This is what the bike looks like when it's folded in half. It's that small. And the other thing I highlight is that on this side right here, you notice that little loop? That's a great handle to raise and lift the bike. But literally, you can fold this in half and put it in the basement in the winter, especially here in Chicago, and then take it out when you need it in the summer. Or in my case, just leave it out all year and use it as I do.
All right, guys, so we are testing out the Engine Pro. And this is the second edition of this bike. This is a more powerful edition. So as we mentioned in the specs, this has around 750 watts of power, which is not just impressive for the size of this bike, but it's only one part of the experience, because this bike can go 62 miles. That's the distance. If you combine pedal assist with the power of the bike, you're talking 62 miles. How far is 62 miles? Well, let me tell you, especially if you're a Chicagoan. That's from Chicago to Gurney Mills. That's from Chicago to Great America. That's far, at least, for me, that's far. And you're talking about 40, not quite 50 miles is the distance there. So this bike, fantastic range, again, with that 750 watt motor. And right now I'm going 100% electric just so that I don't lose my breath. And we'll talk about some of the other features that are going on here. So let's talk about the suspension. Hydraulic suspension. I love hydraulic suspension. We've been reviewing more and more bikes that have hydraulic suspensions, and we're seeing that they're being introduced not only in the suspension in the front fork, as this one does, which is also adjustable, but it's also being introduced into the braking systems. And I'll tell you, once you have a hydraulic braking system, it's kind of hard to get used to the old version. So I love the hydraulic everywhere that this system has. This bike really is a delight when it comes to both the suspension and the brake system. Now, the tires are a little bit smaller than some of the bikes that we've looked at. So we've looked at bikes that have 26-inch tires. These are 20-inch tires, but they're still the Fat Boy ones, right? So you have 20-inch, 4-inch wide, which is going to give you a lot of stability. And more I get the question on, will this work in the snow? Will this work in sand? Well, right now, we've kind of, the snow's gone in Chicago. But if you had snow, this will work in the snow. This will work in the sand, and it will work in the mud too. So regardless of the situation that you're in, you're going to be fine with this bike. So let's talk about then the braking system. Now, we did say that the braking system is hydraulic, which means that you're going to have some really responsive braking going on here. So if we hit the brake, you'll see, and I'm not hitting it hard, it will stop. Now, a little whistling going on because the bike is new, so the pads have to get worn in a little bit before it gets super silent. But the rest of the bike is pretty silent, right? Has just standard bike noises. And I do get folks asking when they see me testing out these e-bikes, asking me, hey, is that a normal bike or is that an electric bike? And that's primarily because of the overall performance that they see. They see these bikes going so fast, and they wonder, like, how is this guy able to go that fast? So, great performance on these bikes. Now, let's talk about pedal assist. So, I'm going to turn off the pedal assist on this bike all the way to 0. So here, as I'm moving, this is again a 7-speed bike, and I'm going to go ahead and switch gears on this. We're going to go all the way up. So that's the 7th gear, and that's a little bit hot. I would say harder, not too hard, but it's a little bit harder for me, right? And no assistance whatsoever. Now, if I want to change the gears, all I do is with the thumb, just modify it. I can go up, can go down really easy, so it's easy to control. Now, as I add, let's say, some pedal assist, all I got to do is push this little button here, and as soon as I start pedaling, the pedal assist technology is going to kick in, and it's going to give me some assistance. Let's go ahead and try that. So pedal assist is on, and it is gradual. It is not leaping forward like we've seen with some of the other bikes. We've seen more and more of these bikes have some very thoughtful pedal assist, nothing that is almost like Superman taking off, and that's nice. So right now, this is pedal assist. I'm going to go ahead and go to another mode. And this has 5 modes, right? So we're going to continue to move up, and I can feel now less work on my behalf, and the bike is going faster, right? Doesn't need that much help anymore. And I could go one step further, and whoa, I could feel it there. Now that was a little leap. I felt somewhat of a leap, and it picked up really nicely there. We're going to test this full throttle in a second. Let's get around this curve. Let's see what mode we're in. All right, so this is pedal assist 5. We were in pedal assist 3 a couple seconds ago. We're going to let this truck pass us by. And Now with very little effort, the bike is going. Maximum speed for this bike, it's set at anywhere from 20 to 22 miles an hour. That's kind of like what the governor is set to. The bike can be opened up to go a little bit faster if you go into the menu. No special code needed. All you have to do is just go into the menu and set that up, and you'll be able to go a little bit much faster. And we've actually have this bike opened up all the way just to see how fast it goes. And you can see right now, I'm not putting in a lot of effort, and this thing is going pretty fast. So we're gonna get here on a smaller street. Not a lot of cars, traffic this area, and this is what I like about it. So we'll be able to test it out. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and go 100% electric here. And what we'll do is there's gonna be a straightaway coming up that we'll be able to do some testing just to see the overall speed. Right now it's saying that I'm clocking at 20, but we know that there's always a little differences between what the indicator says and what the real speed is. So here we have a good straight. We're gonna let it go all the way. And right now I'm indicating 18, 19 miles, 20 miles, 21 miles, 22 miles. Let's see how fast this will go. 23.2. And right now it's at 23. We'll compare that shortly. So 23.8 is what it says it's doing. So we'll see. I may have not opened it up all the way. I thought I went through the configuration settings and opened it up quite a bit. The other thing that's really cool about this bike, the bike, in addition to having those 5 pedal assist modes, and then also having the throttle like I'm doing right now, also has what is known as cruise control. So as you're riding the bike and you are pretty much holding the throttle, it will go into cruise control, and you really don't have to do anything but just sit back and let the bike do its job. So as I was saying, this bike does have cruise control. So after a couple seconds of holding the throttle at a specific speed, it's going to remain in that speed without you having to hold it, which is going to be nice because then you don't have to worry about fatigue. So hand here, and it's still going, and I'm not doing anything. It has some nice palm rests on the side, and especially with this pedal assist and cruise control, in this case the cruise control, this is really nice because I can just use this literally as a scooter, right? And not have to hold on to that throttle. Right now it's saying that I'm clocking at 23.8. Now my body weight, 175, 185. I say that in a good day. Sometimes I have more bad days than good. But still, 22 miles an hour, or in this case 23 as it's clocking, is not bad. Now one of the things that we're going to be doing in a second, I like driving around here because there's a speed cam that we're going to look at. And we're going to turn around and we're going to see, is the bike clock speed and then the speed cam speed, how different are they? Are they much different, or are they the same? I also have some more tech that we'll see on display that should tell us also what our GPS speed is, so we can see. So to disengage the GPS, all you have to do is press the brake once, and then it kind of disengages it. So we're going to turn around here. Let's go ahead. All right. So cruise control, we're going to first throttle all the way up to the top speed. It's right now at 17, 19, 20. All right. 22, 23. It says 23.7, 23.8. I'm letting go of the throttle now, so we're on cruise control. And we're going to be seeing here on the upper right-hand corner to see, it is saying 24 miles an hour. Wow. Yep, and the speedometer is tracking at 24. That's impressive. So very few bikes, any kind of vehicle of this type, have I seen where the actual speedometer and in my testing, that they're both true to speed. So that's nice. So let's say, what else could we talk about the bike? So we talked about the hydraulics, we talked about suspension, great tires, we talked about the speed, and then we've also talked about the actual range. Let's talk about portability. Now, from a portability perspective, this bike has the ability to fold in half. Absolutely love that feature, because we've been reviewing lately a lot of large format bikes that cannot be folded. Well, my friends, This one can fold. This one can get in half, and it's going to cut the size in half rather easily with just a simple button. So makes it really easy to commute with, and also take it if you're going on a ride. Where you're actually focused on, if you're taking it on a ride where you're going to be maybe commuting in a car, and then after using your car, you're actually going to be getting on the bike. All right, so this is kind of my bumpy test. And from a bumpy test perspective, it's doing really, really well. Let's talk about the saddle. That's another piece that we haven't really talked about. Saddle's comfortable, it's wide, and even though I'm going through all these bumps and literally having to adjust my camera because of all the bumps, I can tell you one thing. There's no noise. There's no rattle. There's no clatter. And I love that. I love that it's just quiet. I love that it's just electric, and that everything is just super, super quiet. Very, very nice.
So guys, that wraps up our review of the Engine Pro 2. See you in the next video.